Battlefield 1 is better because I come historically first and my franchise has been around longer. No, Titanfall 2 is better because I have war running and big robots.
What's up, gamers? Welcome to another episode of the Game Strain. This is Ryan here with you. Today I'm just putting together a little video of Battlefield 1 and Titanfall 2. I want to apologize for getting this video out a little bit late. I normally post on Mondays and Thursdays. It's just time kind of got a little bit ahead of me yesterday, so posting this one up a day late. Sorry about that. But anyway, Battlefield 1, Titanfall 2, those are two really awesome shooters that have recently come out, AAA games. If you look at the reviews for these games, they both got 8s and 9s pretty much across the board, so they're doing really well, getting great feedback. So when you have two awesome games like this that are pretty similar just because they're both shooters and they're both online, multiplayer focused, it can be a little bit hard to decide which one you want to get. So I just put this video together trying to help you guys decide which game is right for you. This isn't a review for either one of the games. I mostly just kind of wanted to say, here, this is a small list of the things that this game has, and this is a list of things that this game has, or what this game is more focused on. And it's not saying that one game is better than the other. It's just trying to help you decide which one is right for you. So I want to first start out by talking about the game's campaigns, and then start getting into the more nitty-gritty of the multiplayer, which is what's going to keep you coming back to both of these games, really. So let's just cover the campaigns really quickly. Starting with Battlefield 1. Battlefield 1 took a very trial-by-fire approach with their campaign. They kind of just plop you right in and expect you to die on the front lines of these various scenarios. I think they put you in the role of 4, maybe 5 different soldiers. And it's very dramatic. I think it's supposed to give you a scope of how many people died in World War I, which was a lot. So in contrast, Titanfall 2 starts you out with a tutorial, which is a little bit, it's kind of a slower start in terms of the story. The tutorial wasn't that annoying. None of us like tutorials. You can spend as long as you want in it. But it gives you a chance to practice some of the free running mechanics, get you a chance to do a little bit of the shooting also, practice some of your shooting, and just get a little general feel for the game. Both of the campaigns in Titanfall and Battlefield both start out with a really impressive cinematic that both companies obviously spent a lot of money on and time. So those are both impressive, and they give you a good feel for the game.
Fast and agile. Graceful, yet devastating. Somebody!
Battlefield 1, just in general, the graphics feel a little bit prettier and just make a stronger impression overall. Titanfall's graphics are still really nice, don't get me wrong. But I feel like Battlefield's graphics are better. And aside from the intro, where you're placed in the role of 4 or 5 different soldiers that die, that little intro section, there are 5 other segments in the game in which you play as 5 different protagonists. And each one of those segments is broken up into several different missions, some with more than others. In which you take on the role of a British tank crew member, a volunteer pilot in the British Air Force, an Italian shock trooper, and then a couple others. All in all, it's 17 missions, and it's supposed to be about 5 to 7 hours in length, the whole single player campaign for Battlefield 1. And of course, that's going to differ on depending how quickly you're going through it, how skilled of a player you are, whatnot. There's a good amount of variety that you're going to find in the game, in the single player, and a lot of big open maps, just like Battlefield always has these awesome big maps that you can kind of work with and destroy. All their, the buildings are destructible, just like most of the recent Battlefield games. So it really takes advantage of all the open world and just the scope of the game. It's a very impressive campaign overall. So Titanfall 2, after you do the little tutorial and get acquainted with the free running and whatnot, you have a pretty much equally dramatic story intro. And I don't want to spoil anything for you, but you take on the role of this guy named Jack Cooper, who's a new pilot, a rookie pilot who gets kind of thrust into a big important role of responsibility to save the day with his Titan companion BT. The campaign is about 5 to 7 hours in length, just like Battlefield is. So, it has some really surprisingly awesome environments and moments. I didn't really know what to expect from Respawn's campaign because I never played a Respawn campaign before. So I was actually really impressed, and the Titanfall formula works really well in single player mode. It's just really fast paced and a pleasure to play. It was just really fun. And it takes full advantage of the free running system with a lot of its level design, which I'll try and kind of show you here. Okay, and I think that pretty much covers the campaign, so let's go ahead and start getting into the multiplayer and comparing and contrasting them. And so first thing that I want to say, just overall, I feel like Titanfall focuses a little bit more on speed, while Battlefield focuses a little bit more on precision. And that's just kind of an overall general statement. They both of the games have speed and precision elements to them, but I'm just saying one focuses on the other. I'd say Titanfall focuses on speed because everything in that game just feels a little bit faster. Just the way that you move is very over the top with your jump jets and running along walls and getting a speed boost from running along the wall. Then you can do your rocker slide on your knees. I don't know, everything's just a lot quicker in terms of the mobility, and then also the kills feel a little bit quicker. Melee kills, you can just pop, kill somebody with one hit. Battlefield 1, if you sneak up behind somebody, you can kill them in one hit, just like in most first-person shooters. And then if you do the bayonet charge in Battlefield, you can kill them in one hit. But if you're just running up to a player with full health and you just have your knife out or your melee weapon and you're trying to take a couple stabs at him, it's going to take a couple stabs. It's going to take 2 or 3, but in contrast, Titanfall, I think you can just kill people in just one hit, because I've had it happen to me. So melee kills feel a little bit faster. The respawning feels faster it is faster in Titanfall 2. In Battlefield 1, they have the mechanic where they give medics a chance to revive you.
We have lost objective butter.
And that's a really cool mechanic, so I'm not saying that the respawning system in Battlefield is better or worse, but it is just a little bit slower. So Titanfall, the respawning's faster, and also just because the mobility of the pilots that you're fighting against, of the other players, is so quick, you almost don't have time for ADS, for aiming down the sights. It's just, I mean, it's a feature that's definitely available in the game, but I find myself not using it as much. That you can just pull off a lot of the kills just by doing the hip fire, which is a lot more than you can in Battlefield. With Battlefield, you pretty much always have to pull up those iron sights and pop somebody down. Otherwise, you're not really going to stand much of a chance. I don't know. That's just something that I've noticed. A lot of the encounters in Titanfall seem to be a lot more in your face and quick, and all about reaction time. And Battlefield, of course, has that too, but just saying which games focus on which, I would stand by my statement that Battlefield's a little bit more about the precision, because it also supports sniping. So if you're the type of player that really enjoys sniping and long range shooting, Battlefield is going to support that a little bit better than Titanfall does. Titanfall, you can still hang back and snipe if you like, but Battlefield, the maps are just bigger with more I don't know, just safer sniper locations for you to get to. Just, you know, if you get in the right spot in some of these larger maps in Battlefield, you can really just sit up there relatively safely and just shoot down at the unsuspecting victims below. So there's that. Maps feel a little bit more open in the multiplayer mode in Battlefield, and I think that's just to support the big variety of vehicles you're going to be seeing in Battlefield. You can be flying in planes, riding in tanks and cars. You know, if you've played any of the previous Battlefield games, you have a pretty good idea for the variety of vehicles you're going to be seeing. In Titanfall, once you get behind one Titan and use a Titan, all the Titans relatively feel the same. They just switch out the weapons. So there's that to consider, that there is a little bit more vehicle variety in Battlefield, but I also prefer the modes in Battlefield there's just infantry to infantry, and that's also something to consider, that Battlefield multiplayer allows for infantry combat a little bit better. You can do pilot versus pilot in Titanfall 2, but the matchmaking can be very slow. So especially for pilot versus pilot, because I don't think very many people are interested in playing pilot versus pilot in Titanfall 2. I think most people are just like, oh well, we're playing Titanfall, let's use Titans, right? So whenever I try and matchmake for pilot versus pilot, it just never really pans out, and I just get too impatient and stop and just go to one of the more popular game modes. Titanfall 2 features 7 different game modes, with Bounty Hunt, Amped Hardpoint, Pilot versus Pilot, Attrition, Coliseum, Last Titan Standing, Capture the Flag, and Free For All. So that's a pretty good variety. However, not all of those are as popular as others. So as I said, it can be a little bit harder for the matchmaking to get into some of those modes, that like Pilot versus Pilot. So I do know that Bounty Hunt, Amp Hardpoint, and Last Titan Standing are all very popular. You can get into those really quickly. In contrast, Battlefield 1 has 6 different game modes, with Operations, Conquest, Domination, Rush, Team Deathmatch, and War Pigeons. So there's a pretty equal amount of game modes. I would say that the matchmaking is a bit slower in Titanfall than it is in Battlefield. With Battlefield, you just click and you almost instantaneously join to a server with the quick match feature. You can also just go through the server list and find your own server if you want, which is something that you cannot do in Titanfall. You just have to say, you just have to use the matchmaking. You can't actually look at the server list, which is something that you might want to also consider. So I think that about wraps it up. I'm definitely going to be doing more videos on both of these games in the future, because I'm having a lot of fun playing them. I'm not really particularly good at them, I will admit, but I do have a lot of fun with them. So I'm probably going to be doing some more videos in the future, so be on the lookout for those. Once again, sorry for posting this one a little bit late, but we will be seeing you on Monday here on the Game Strain. So, bleh!